Retro Games Party, where good games never get old.
Alright then, tonight we're going to have a look at what should be a relatively simple monitor repair. So this is a monitor, a Hantarex 9000A, which has been taken out of a VideoMaster cab, which I've been using as a jammer cab over here at home. And basically this has got a very interesting fault on it, and I think it's going to be stupendously simple. I think the thing is just basically full of dry joints on the chassis. And I'll tell you why. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, when you power the monitor on, it tries to start up and then shuts down again. And if you power it off and on a few times, then it eventually starts up, and it's absolutely fine. And it makes a bit of a weird squealing sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to power it up now. I've got the microphone switched on and everything. I'm going to power it up now, point the mic down there, and hopefully you'll hear a little squeal when I pull the power cable. So listen. So do you hear that little squeak that happened? I've got a couple of 9000As that are doing similar things, and I've repaired a very similar fault to this before. I believe it's nothing to do with the flyback, even though it's kind of squealing around that area. I don't think the flyback itself is the problem, because once you get the thing up and running, it will run for hours and hours on end without any question whatsoever. So I just think the thing's full of dry joints. I think this is going to be relatively simple, and looking at the amount of dust and grime and gunk and stuff on there, well, it could do with a good clean up as well by the looks of it. So hopefully what we're going to do is pop the chassis off, flip it over, hopefully just reflow a whole bunch of stuff around the power section and around the flyback and things like that, and hopefully it's then going to start firing up exactly as it should do, and then we can pop it back in the cab and it should then start firing up first time. Alright, so let's take the chassis off and have a look. Right, so I've got the chassis off the back of the tube and it's sat here on the bench, and the first thing I've done is given the HV cable a good clean up because it was absolutely messy as anything. I shall possibly give the around the anode cap a quick clean with some isopropyl before I put it all back together. Anyway, looking at it, it's not actually in that bad a shape on the top of it, and I forgot to mention in the previous clip that the reason why I think it's a dry joint issue is because if you switch it on, it makes that squealing sound. If I switch it on and leave it for say a minute or so, and then switch it off and then back on again, it's as if some kind of joint or something has heated up inside on the chassis, and it's now allowing it to make contact correctly, and it's then letting the whole thing start up. So I'm going to flip it over now. Let's have a look on the bottom. Yeah, straight away on there I can see some dim looking stuff and things that aren't exactly great and things like that. So I'm just going to basically pop round it with the solder and just basically reflow some of these some common mistake points, things to note. So let's turn it the other way around. So here is your power input section, and yeah, power input section is looking slightly on the dry side, etc, etc. I shall follow it through down into the power supply section, which is all the way down here, and then over towards the flyback, which is all the way over there. And I'll just basically reflow some joints around that, because there's nothing wrong with deflection. Once it's up and running, it's creating a great picture, so there's nothing in the central section of the board that's particularly of bother to me. The horizontal output transistor is around here somewhere. I'll find it. I'm just doing a very rough guide at the moment. Horizontal output transistor is around this section, reflow around there, reflow down all the power supply section around here. It's going to be power supply related or HLT or flyback. So let's I haven't really got a lot of, I'm sort of kind of doing this one as you don't need a lot of tools to sometimes fix a lot of the faults that can crop up. So let's see where we get to. Let's reflow some joints, pop it, we'll hook it back up and see if we can get it power up without squealing. Okay. Right, I have now been round the board and reflowed absolute ton of places all over it. Specifically, some places of interest were some joints around the flyback there, the horseshoe shape, that bit, and then all over down this left hand side here. I started with the power input connector up here and worked my way down, and basically just anywhere where I saw something a bit grey and obnoxious looking or a bit gnarly, that got reflowed. And then what I did is I followed each of the pins off the flyback terminals here to at least the next couple of components in series and reflowed a load of those as well. So let's I've got it all hooked up ready to go. I just thought I'd show you what I've done before we actually do anything. I've got it ready to go. So I'm going to flip it onto its back. Okay, 1 second. Alright, that is all on there. And we are ready to go. Just right over here, I have a little safety interlock switch, and I'm going to pull up on this. So my power is in there, anode cap is connected, yoke is connected in there. I'm leaving the D-guys off for now, and the most important one of the most important connectors ever is this one here, which is your neck ground. And that's what grounds the neck card and everything back. So I'm going to pull up the switch. Ta-da! No squeal! Yay! We're in the front. There, that's what we're looking for. Okay. Brilliant stuff. Okay. That's a monitor. A very simple monitor repair. One of those where I don't need a schematic. I'm using gut feeling. It's no schematic, no nothing. I'm just going to use very limited tools. I've got more tools on the bench here than I actually need. I thought I was going to need those to release the strange nuts at the back of the chassis. These things, because they are a slightly strange half imperial, half metric size. I'm not sure what they are, but they go somewhere in between that one and that one. So, and I have a nut driver, but it's not here. All my tools have gone to the new place. Which, just for anybody else, this is a bit of a sad day, this, because I've been absolutely robbed of all the arcade here. It's all moved now today to a new place. So I just thought I'd do a little video of this monitor repair, because I'm only keeping a few cabs here just for the moment. I've got the Video Master over there, which I'm going to use as a jammer cab. Mostly just have a 16-1 in there or something, because that's got pretty much every game I ever want to play on it. I'll probably convert it to MAME, to be honest, because at least then the quality of the games will be better than the 16-1 board. I've got the little Asteroids Cabaret. I've got my Star Wars, definitely. That ain't going nowhere. He says now, expect to see it at an event sometime later this year because it'll be needed, which is fine. I have a Space Invaders, which is still on the other side, which is going to come over here. That's going to be all good. And then eventually, when I have got round to it, which will be only in the next few weeks, I will fix up my Gorf, which is over at the new place, and bring that back here as well, and that'll sit over there. And then as we get nearer to the next party, we'll split out certain cabs. I mean, we have some duplicates of things. May well flip round here. There's a good chance I'm going to fill that wall back up again, put about another 6 machines back there, probably Defender, Power Drift, Robotron, that kind of thing. Maybe another jammer cab, I don't know. Horizontal jammer cab, vertical jammer cab. If I could find another one of these Video Masters in really good condition, it'd be nice. Or might bring a couple of Goliaths back, because you know everybody knows how much I love those things. Anyway, so next thing I'm going to do now is just do a little bit of colour calibration. I'm not going to bore everybody with that on this video. That can take forever to sort out, and I don't want it to be a 2-hour epic. I will hook up a test signal, which I get a chance now to play with my test meter, my new test rig. I'm going to see if I can hook that up and get a test pattern going and calibrate it. Alright, put it back in the cab, and I'll show it in the next shot. You'll see, is it working hopefully in the cab. Alright, catch you all in a second. Yeah, and I know I said I wasn't going to bore everybody with me going on about calibrating the colours and everything, but this kind of gave me a chance to try out my new toy that I bought off eBay a few weeks ago. And this is a test pattern generator. And this is really important with arcade monitors, so you can calibrate the screens, and also if you do any work with broadcast monitors like I do, and you have to sort of sometimes calibrate Sony PWMs, which are more a preview monitor that you can get a big sort of cube stackable with about a gajillion inputs, including red, green, blue sync, like an arcade style monitor. If you can find one on eBay, by the way, highly recommend you getting one of those, because they're great for playing games on, and because they're cuboid, you can slip them onto the side to play vertical stuff on a Super Cup. Anyway, enough of waffle about that. One thing I would definitely recommend, if you can find one of these test pattern generators, is to get one, because it does allow you to see a test pattern like this, but also you get to see several other patterns as well. So what I'll do is I'll just move the screwdrivers and crap out of the way and bring the pattern generator around. Ta-da! There we go, and there it is. There's our pattern generator, and I can then do things like I can turn off sets of colours and things like that. So if I want, I can actually get a black level for it, which is something that's obviously something you need to do. And there are different test patterns. That's a raster pattern. That's a bars pattern, and you've got dots, crosshatch, horizontal lines and vertical lines. Now horizontal lines and vertical lines are extremely important, especially with the crosshatch, for setting up linearity. One of the things that people overlook is linearity on a monitor, and that's basically the space between these lines. So if you get that wrong, you can end up with like, you know, bubbles here and like little bits there and stuff. Linearity is reasonably easy to correct, and on different monitors there's preset pots that you can play with and stuff like that, but a lot of them, they don't have it, so it's a case of checking out resistors in that circuit and capacitors and things like that, because they will provide the smoothing for it. There's generally no specific, on a lot of them, there's no specific linearity adjustment, but on some of the older ones, and this is a Hantarex 9000A, and on the 900A there's definitely a linearity coil that you can muck about with, and some people use that by accident instead of vertical amplitude, and then get a slightly wacky picture, as you can see, sort of like, you know, might have you score a game over in the bottom, which looks a bit bigger than things at the top of the screen. Anyway, so next step now I've got this all hooked up, because I just had to make a little test connector for it, is to obviously set all the colours up and everything. So I'll start with the black level and go from there. Alright, so there we have it, and it's back in the cab, all tweaked up and everything, and it's working perfectly. Like I say, I'm just going to keep a 16-1 board in here for now, and then bring some PCBs down every now and again, and, you know, swap and change a little bit, bring a couple more cabs back in a few more weeks, and that's it. And the other side, oh, well, that just looks depressingly. So in fact, who wants to go and take a quick look in the other side? Yeah, go on then, seeing as I've got the camera on. Let's have a quick look at the other side. See how bad it is. Okay, you've got to put some lights on and stuff like that. Let's take a quick look in here. And it's been robbed. So I've still got about 9 games to move tomorrow. So Missile Storm is over there, Amidar, Berserk, Space Invaders, that's staying with me. Gorf is going up there, so we've got all 3 of them together that we have. And there's the Super Hang On, our Outrun, Road Blasters, Space Harrier and Afterburner have still yet to move. Those are all going tomorrow. So anyway, anybody who didn't get a chance to come down here, one of the things that we had was this sort of LED lighting thing that we did. And what we did was build these trays and took a 5 metre thing. I just thought to show everybody this, and just took a 5 metre thing and basically just split it in half, and then sold, you know, ran some wire stick basically between the 2 points, and ta-da! There you go. You've got you have a LED strip, and you can just basically put it up against the wall, and that's what it looks like from the side there, because you never got to see that. Nobody ever got to see that shot whilst the place was operating, stuff like that. Operating, God, sounds we weren't operating whilst the parties were happening. Anyway, so that's what this side looks like now, and next job that I've got to do is get these last bits of these last 9 machines out tomorrow, and then start doing things like taking the TVs down and cleaning the place up, give it another look of paint and everything. It looks a lot bigger than when it's full of machines. Now, a friend of mine is coming up to do some work for us and for Andy as well. So he's actually going to take the place over off me. The landlady's quite happy about that, and he's going to have it for 3 to 6 months whilst he finds himself a permanent place. So it's all worked out. It's all worked out quite well, actually. So I'm kind of sad to be moving out of this one, but it just wasn't going to be viable. You know, we've got all 5 of the major events to do this year so far, and probably more next year, and there's other things that are coming along, and we just can't keep loading and unloading this. It takes hours to do. So anyway, waffling on, and that's where we're going to end the video at this point. So hope you've all enjoyed the ones that have come from here over the last 12 months or so, 12-18 months, and all new videos start soon from the new place. Can't wait to start posting new videos, fixes and stuff about the games and things coming and going and what we're up to, and there's even going to be some staff blogs by the other people who are involved. So do take a moment, and if you've just stumbled across this video and you haven't subscribed, do click the subscribe button, because there are going to be a lot more content coming soon from us. We've been holding off a lot of things until we got the new place sorted out, because that's all like been a big secret since about November or so, October, November. So anyway, I'll see you on the next video. Do hit the old subscribe button, do check us out on Facebook, and do subscribe to us on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter as @RGPUK. Alright, until the next time we meet, see ya.